Yep.
I think we'll start out, we'll just have you say your name and spell it, so we have that on the tape. You could just say your name and then spell it for us, so we have that on the tape.
Pretty Robb.
It's spelled R-O-B-B? Okay. And when were you born?
I was born in September the 16th in 1896.
October the 16th, 1896. And where were you born?
Wentworth, Missouri.
Wentworth?
Yeah. That's a little town down by Monette.
Oh, southwest Missouri then.
Dad had a farm at the southwest corner of his farm was touched the city limits of that little town of Wentworth.
What was your father and mother's name?
John Elliott was Dad's, and Sarah Bell was Bob's. And she was born in Winston, North Carolina.
North Carolina?
And Dad was born someplace in the south. I don't know where it was.
Not Missouri, you mean?
He was 10 years old when they came down to the Wentworth area.
I see. Was your father in the military?
What?
Was your father in the Army?
No.
What year was he born?
I don't know where Dad was born. It's down the south someplace.
What year do you recall what year he was born?
No.
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Okay.
I can look that up.
He was 92 when he died.
He was 92 when he died?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
And I'm 106.
So he's probably born some 20 years earlier than you were.
Probably.
Yeah. How about your mother? How old was she when she died?
I think mine was 83.
83?
Mm-hmm.
And your parents made a living by farming?
Dad was a farmer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Mom's folks lived in North Carolina, and he was a blacksmith, and then he was a blacksmith in the Army, Northern Army during the Civil War.
Also, your grandfather was in the Confederate Army, is what you're saying, on your mother's side?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mom's dad was. Mm-hmm.
Huh. And where did you go to school?
I went country school through the 5th grade, and then I finished up at that little town at Wentworth, and then I went to
Microphone fell off.
Missouri Valley College at Washington, Missouri for my college degree, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Western Theological Seminary for my minister's degree.
Well, you finished up high school in Circoxie, though.
Yeah, I had to go. When it was 2-year high school in Wentworth, and so I went to Circoxie, where there's 4-year high school.
Okay.
And then the seminary, was that up in Kansas City?
No, the seminary was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, way back there, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you went to the seminary, was that after World War I, or?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. We're getting ahead of ourselves then, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't see any action in World War I we was going to sail to France in 3 days, and everybody wanted to go, so they wouldn't go out for sick call, and I took my temperature, and it says 105. and so I didn't get to France.
And that's because you had the flu?
I got stuck in Quantico, Virginia for the rest of the war. Ship's company.
Ship's company?
What?
I'll back up a little bit.
What?
Tell me about when you enlisted in the Marines.
What?
Tell me about when you enlisted, when you joined the Marines.
I joined in Joplin, Missouri.
Joplin, Missouri.
I'd been out to my dad always let us make up our own mind. And I'd been to Kansas Harvest Field, and I came back in Joplin, I joined the Marines.
Why did you pick the Marines?
What?
Why did you pick the Marines?
I don't know.
You don't know? Or I guess why did you enlist in the first place? Would be another question.
Yeah.
Can you remember?
Yeah.
Didn't you have a friend that was going to the Marines?
Yeah, there's Glenn Carr. I met him in Joplin there, and I'd signed up in the Navy, and he said he's going to join the Marines, so I canceled the Navy and went and he didn't pass the examination.
And what was his name?
What was his name?
Glenn Carr.
Carr, like C-A-R-R?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you joined, tell us what happened next, where you went and where you trained.
I'm a little hard of hearing.
After you joined, tell us about what happened next.
Well, I went home for 3 days, and then they sent me to Quantico, Virginia.
Did you go by train
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
from Joplin to Quantico, or?
Yeah, well, we went from Wentworth to Joplin, and then to Kansas City, and then on by train.
Well, tell us about when you got to Quantico, your experiences when you got off the train. Were they waiting for you?
See, Quantico was a little island off in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody out there but black farmers in the Marine Corps. So we stayed out there for boot training.
Well, tell us about boot training.
What?
Tell us about your boot camp.
That was on Paris Island off in North Carolina. And there's 350 of us recruits that went on a flatboard boat from mainland out to Paris Island. And so, and we were out there 3 months in training.
Can you tell us what you did during your training?
Yeah.
What kind of training it was?
Oh, mainly drilling and rifle. But I'd shot a rifle ever since I'd big enough to hold 22 to my shoulder on the farm. And 400 took record, and I was 5 from the top.
Oh, I see you were a good shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I could hit that target because I'd been shooting a rifle ever since I hold a 22 to my shoulder.
You remember what kind it was?
What?
What kind rifle was it? Was it a Springfield?
What?
Your
What?
rifle?
Your rifle. What brand was it?
I don't know what he said.
What kind of rifle was it?
I don't know, Springfield.
Right.
I brought that is a good Springfield. I brought it home with me after the war, but I don't know what happened to it.
I know where it is.
Oh, you do?
they let me bring that gun home, but I could sure hit the mark with that gun.
And how was the food at boot camp?
What?
How was the food at boot camp?
We had pretty good food. In the Marine Corps, I think they had better food than any of the service.
Did you gain weight?
What?
Did you gain weight while you were there?
Oh,
Did you gain weight?
Did you get big?
yeah, everybody did.
Did they holler at you a lot during training?
What?
Did they holler at you a lot during training?
What?
Did they holler a lot at you?
Oh, yeah. That's part of our training for the officers. Always hollering at you. And I don't think they hollered did some because the line us up when we got down to Paris Island, and this guy in charge said, "Private Robb, step forward." He said, "You're our barber." I never cut anybody's hair in my life.
Get this clip on again. Man, terrible time with it.
Turned out pretty good because in college I cut all the guys' hair on the dormitory, picked up some money.
Check, always recheck it. Yeah. What kind of uniforms did they give you?
What?
What kind of uniforms did they give you?
I don't know, it was regular Army. I always felt pretty dressed up with that Marine dress suit. and I bought a new suit to come home on after the war.
Oh, a civilian suit or an Army or Marine?
Yeah.
Marine. Is that your dress blues?
What?
Was that your dress blue uniform?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you still have that?
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't.
I really felt, as a young man, really felt dressed up with that. But my brother, 2 years younger, he was in the Army, and they sent him right over to France, and he's shooting at the Germans.
Yeah. Well, we hope to interview him next month. He gets that hearing aid.
But I had the flu, and I got stuck in ship's service at Quantico, Virginia, for a duration war, and couldn't get out of it.
What did they have you do in ship's company?
Uh-huh.
He didn't hear you.
What did you do?
What kind of jobs did you do in ship's company?
Oh, I turned out to be the barber there.
Ah, so you kept being the barber all along.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to cut 100 head from Friday noon to Sunday morning. So we didn't spend much time on this guy's head. They didn't have much hair when we got through either.
They're kind of known for that.
Yeah.
Military haircut.
Scalp 'em.
But the barber that they had, when they got the barber down Paris Island, and you guys ever share a mule? And this guy, they told me when I joined never to volunteer for anything. He said he'd shared mules, but you're our barber. And he couldn't get the job done. I got to helping him. They fired him, and made me the barber. And it helped me through college. Was I cut all the guys in the dormitories' hair for 25 cents.
I see.
So,
What was your rank in the Marine Corps?
what?
What was your rank in the Marine Corps?
I was a private first class.
Private first class.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I got that when I was fifth and 400 on a rifle range.
So you got a promotion for being a good shot.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I'd shot a rifle ever since, it big enough to hold a rifle to show on the farm, shooting rabbits and ducks when they came down from the north.
Okay.
And did they have you go on marches?
What?
Did they have you marching a lot? On
Marching. Marching.
What?
Marching.
I don't know.
Did they have you go on long hikes?
What?
Did they have you go on long hikes?
But I had a tailor-made Marine suit to go home on. I really got dressed up to go home.
Did you march a lot?
What?
Did you march?
Oh, all the time. Sometimes 8 or 9 hours a day.
Was that hard?
I
Was that hard to do?
had worked on the farm. The boys from the city would fade out on it. We farm boys, we used to doing hard work.
What were your shoes like?
Right?
Your shoes, boots.
Well, they came up to here.
They had nails.
Right?
That hobnail.
Yeah. But I felt pretty dressed up with that Marine suit, so I had a suit tailor-made to go home in.
Mm-hmm.
How much did the suit cost you to have?
What?
How much did it cost you to have the suit made?
I don't know now.
Now,
But I didn't spend much in it. I just let them, so I got quite a check there to go home with. I hadn't drawn my pay.
and did you dig trenches and foxholes in training?
What?
Did you dig trenches and foxholes in training?
You do trench work, digging trenches and foxholes.
Yeah. Hmm. But we would drill down on Paris Island. We'd drill 6 or 8 hours, 6 days a week.
And then Sunday you would go to church.
What?
Sunday you'd go to church.
Mm-hmm. But we farm boys could take it, but city boys, they had a hard time taking it because they hadn't been used to doing hard work.
See, what about bayonet training?
What?
Did you have bayonet training?
The bayonet on your rifle. Did they train you to use your bayonet?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had to put the bayonet in dummies.
What were they like? The dummies. What were they like?
They were imitation of a German soldier.
Oh.
And but I didn't have any trouble with the rifle. And I was 5 from the top and 400 shot per record.
Mm-hmm.
'cause I'd been shooting rifles ever since I was big enough to hold it to my shoulder.
Did they give you a helmet?
What?
Did they give you a steel helmet?
Yeah, your hair could be 3/4 of an inch high here in front.
Did you have a metal helmet?
Yeah,
What did it look like?
but the barber they selected was having trouble cutting 100 head from Friday noon to Sunday morning. So I got to help him. One time I cut the top sergeant's hair. And about an hour I got orders down to top sergeant's tent on the double. What the hell I done? He said, "We're firing the barber and you're the barber fool." And I helped him out and cut top sergeant's hair.
So he must have liked his haircut.
I guess I was pretty good at it, and helped me through college. I went to Missouri Valley at Marshall,
Oh, okay.
and I played basketball and football.
Oh, you did?
Baseball was my best game in college, so
Uh-huh.
I led the team in hitting.
Huh. Or it had something to do with being a good shot.
'Cause
Yeah.
I had 5 brothers, and we had a sandlot baseball team when we was growing up, so we learned to hit the ball.
What were the names of your 5 brothers?
What?
What were the names of your 5 brothers?
Well, Bert was the oldest, and then me, and then Milt, and then Paul, and Lester went downstream.
And you had a sister?
What?
You had several sisters.
You had several sisters too?
How many did I name? There was 6 of us.
6 boys.
Yeah, Bert and Bill and me and Milt and Paul and Lester. That was 6, I believe.
How many? What were your sisters' names?
5 sisters. Mother and Dad set out to have 12 kids, and they had 11. They fell short of their goal. Back at that time, it seemed like married couples want to see how many kids they could have.
What were your sisters' names?
Well, let's see, the oldest was Carrie, and then Blanche, and then Meg, and Bess was the youngest. I missed one in there, I forgot one of them's name.
I don't know. I'd have to look.
But the first 6, Bert was the second born, and then they didn't have any more sons, so they had 5 daughters.
Huh.
And then the last 5 in the family were sons.
Did your sisters all live to be
What?
old age like you? Did your sisters all live to be in old age like you?
They all married local men. 2 of them were farmers, and one was a carpenter.
How old did they get?
Huh?
How old were your sisters? How old did they get?
What do you mean when they got married?
Or when they passed away?
Oh, I don't know. I think most of them lived up into the 80s.
He has one sister living.
Oh yeah,
She's 98,
98.
and she's been in a rest home down in Aurora for quite some time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So did
And most of my sisters married local men.
in your family, if you are the oldest age? I mean,
Oldest living.
oldest living.
Yeah.
I was fifth from the last. There was 5 boys at the last: Bill, Fred, and Milt, and Paul, and Lester.
Did any of your other brothers go into the military besides your brother down in Mount Vernon?
Who else went into the military in your family?
Bill, just older than I, he was in World War I and saw a lot of active duty in France and got a slight wound on the head. I guess his helmet saved his life.
Huh.
He got hit on the helmet and knocked unconscious, but that saved his life. But he and Milt both saw a lot of action, but flu kept me from seeing action in the First World War, 'cause I got stuck in ship's company at Quantico, Virginia for the duration.
How long did it take you to get over the flu?
Oh, I don't know. They put 4 of us in a little ward there, and 2 of us survived and 2 died.
Huh.
They didn't know how to handle the flu back there.
We killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people died with the flu.
What kind of treatment did they give you?
The only thing they gave me was whiskey. The only time I had whiskey in my life. I didn't know what else to give, so they gave flu victim whiskey.
Huh.
I expect that helped them kick off too. But I came from a strong stock,
Yeah.
so I survived.
Did any of your other brothers and sisters get the flu?
What?
Did any of your other brothers and sisters have the flu?
What did you say?
Any of your brothers or sisters get the flu?
I don't recall on that.
Hmm.
I know I had it. And we were a happy family, and Dad was a good farmer, so we always had plenty to eat. And
Let's see. Now, tell us about how you became a preacher
what?
or minister.
Well,
Tell us about how you became a minister.
I felt the call to be a minister when I was in high school.
Oh.
And I know that's pretty poor preaching, but when I was in high school, I preached in some little country churches when they'd be invited. But in seminary, one of the seniors was supposed to candidate in church at Uniontown, Pennsylvania. And he decided he wanted to spend his time with the American Indians. And so I went out and filled his appointment and had to go back to country church between Uniontown and Collinsville. And I caught the train at Collinsville and had to wait a few hours there. And one of the elders came and wanted to know if I'd take it regular. And so I stayed there. Finished out my junior year in seminary and the senior year, and then I stayed there a year, but I was a Midwestern. I wanted to come out in the Midwest to spend my ministry. But I wanted to be in country churches, but the Lord had other ideas for me. Every time I get a country church, big town or city church would call me. And so I had churches in Kansas City and St. Louis.
Now, what denomination?
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian.
Tell them about your playing.
What?
Tell them about your playing baseball in Canada.
I didn't understand, Fern.
Tell them about playing baseball in Canada.
Playing baseball in Canada?
Yeah, I played 1 year professional ball
Oh, you did?
and led the team, but I had 1 year in seminary already, so I gave up baseball. But I led the team in hitting .364 that year in Canada.
What was the name of the team?
What?
What was the name of the team?
Let's see, what was Russell, Manitoba.
Russell, Manitoba. Okay.
We were a farm team of the Minneapolis team.
And what year was that?
What?
What year was that?
Oh, I don't know.
It was after World War I, though.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Dad was a great dad. He always told we 5 boys to do what we wanted to do. And a brother just under me became a successful farmer and retired early and built a home down on Table Rock down in the Ozarks. At 55, he retired and made enough money on the farm to live out comfortably. He and his wife liked to fish, and they did a lot of fishing down there in Table Rock.
You'll get a big charge out of him. He's got a great laugh.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Well, tell us about how you got into World War II.
Well, in World War I, I been to Kansas Harvest Field and come back. I enlisted in the Marine Corps in Joplin.
He asked you about World War II.
World War II.
Well, I joined the Navy in Philadelphia. I had to go there, and then they sent me to Quantico, Virginia for training.
No, that wouldn't have been right.
What?
That wouldn't have been right.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to a place around Chicago
Mm-hmm.
for the Navy.
You enlisted in the Navy in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
And then what did you do?
They sent us on an island off of the South Carolinas for a while. And then my first assignment was 11 months in Boston. And then I went aboard the U.S. Panamint ship for 2.5 years.
What kind of ship?
It was a battle wagon,
Which one?
Panamint. And it's named after a mountain in California, Panamint Mountains, California. And I stayed on that ship over 2 years, and then we were on, I said that place. It was out in the southwest, and we was going
Midway.
into battle from there.
Midway,
Huh?
was it?
Midway, yeah. And I got orders back to Boston. Not Boston, Pearl Harbor. and I got stuck in Pearl Harbor for duration of the war. And I built a chapel there.
Is the chapel still there?
It's still there?
What?
Your chapel's still there at Pearl Harbor?
I imagine it is.
He was a chaplain in the Navy.
What sort of rank did they give you as a chaplain?
What?
What sort of rank did they give you as a chaplain in the Navy?
Well, I finished up full commander.
That's pretty good.
You just didn't stay in.
Were you at the Battle of Midway or did you just miss it?
What?
Were you at the Battle of Midway or did you miss it?
Did I do what?
Were you at the Battle of Midway or did you get out before?
And my company was going in to the battle from Midway, and I got orders back to Pearl Harbor before they left. So I didn't see. The only action I saw was we had to dodge a submarine between San Francisco and Pearl Harbor. The German submarine tried to get us in position, but our captain of the ship had been he understood about that, and this submarine kept giving us signals he was in trouble, and our captain contacted San Francisco, and they said we have no ships in that area, and said take a zigzag course so they can't follow you. So we outmaneuvered him going into Pearl Harbor.
Probably a Japanese submarine then.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed being on the ship over 2 years as chaplain, and the boys treated me like I was somebody special. And,
You ever get seasick?
what?
Seasick?
What?
You get seasick?
Yeah, always when we got rough sea.
Yeah.
I never got used to rough sea. Mhm. Now, a ship going like this didn't bother me, but when it did this, that's what got me.
Where were you when you found the war was over?
What?
Where were you when you found the war was over?
I was at Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor?
Uh-huh. And I had a chance to switch to the regulars. See, we were wartime enlistees, but I had a wife and 3 kids at Wentworth, Missouri. They went back where my folks lived during the war, and I wanted to see my 2 sons, my daughter. My daughter was starting Missouri Valley College as a freshman when I got out of the service. So I wanted to see my boys grow up, my daughter, and my oldest son, he wanted to go to Wyoming University, but they had all the students, so he went to Missouri Valley at Marshall, Missouri 1 year. The second year, he got to go to Wyoming University, and he made the basketball team there. he was 6'4",
Oh.
and made good grades. Then got his master's degree there, and then went to Texas universities for his PhD, and
Huh.
then he taught in the university at Oklahoma until he retired.
Oh, yeah. What was his name?
Seward
Seward Robb.
Elliott.
He's in pretty poor health right now.
Huh.
But John, he went in the army, and now he's
John wasn't in the army.
what?
John wasn't in the army.
And he's retired. He worked for Monsanto,
Oh.
and he helped build 3 bridges. He's in charge of 3 bridges in the Mississippi River. And when he retired, I taught my kids to not be spendthrifts. And when he retired, he was worth $1 million. And he and Barbara, and she inherited $500,000 from her folks, and then sent it back because they didn't want to pay taxes on it. And they just travel all over the world since he's retired. But right now they're on a trip out west someplace. Where was they going, Fern?
Wyoming.
What?
Wyoming.
Wyoming, yeah.
What do you attribute your long life to?
What?
Why do you think you've lived to be this old?
What is?
What do you think got you to live so long?
Well, Dad lived to be 92, and my grandfather lived to be 85, and for 4 generations in our family, there was never one that did any drinking. And so they lived good. Dad lived to be 92. Grandfather had a terrible cancer right between his shoulder blade, but he lived to be 85 even with that cancer.
So you had good genes.
Yeah, that's right. You got your stories mixed up about
What?
you got your story mixed up about John helping build those bridges in the Mississippi or
Yeah.
Missouri River. That was one of your brothers.
Yeah, he was in charge of putting 3 bridges in the Mississippi.
That was one of your brothers, not
What?
John.
What?
That was one of your brothers, not John.
Yeah. No, that is Seward, yeah. But right out of college, this big company in St. Louis hired John, and they took him up the ladder.
I think he was a civil engineer. He went all over all over the world
Oh.
building.
He became superintendent of building, and he put 3 dams in the Mississippi, and he put the waterworks in for a big town in Illinois.
I thought that was Paul that did that.
Who?
I thought that was your brother Paul that did that.
I don't know, I'm confused, I
Yes,
guess.
you are.
But John built bridges for Monsanto.
Well, it could have been, I don't know.
Did you bring back any pictures or souvenirs from World War I or World War II?
But World War One, my brother Paul was a crane operator, and they did some bridges in the Mississippi. And
Yeah, that's right.
he was a crane operator. He signed up with this company in St. Louis, and he had to put on a water suit, clear up and wade around the water there in the Mississippi. And he didn't like that job, so he got the crane operator to teach him how to run a crane. And so from then on, he ran until he retired. He had handled cranes, loading ships and building bridges in the Mississippi and different things.
You should
So-
tell them about when you were in,
What?
you should tell them when you were at Pearl Harbor about how many of the young men came to church and how you went around in the, can you understand me?
I can't hear you.
Tell them about the truck that you went around collecting all the boys, and you had a piano on the truck.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody, I built a chapel at Pearl Harbor, and some group gave us a piano, and we had to go down on Broadway in Kansas City to pick it up. And an Italian that worked for their government, he let us have his flatbed truck, and we went on Broadway in Kansas City and picked up this piano.
That was a fur piece.
And they was throwing different things on this Italian let us have his truck to go pick up his piano for my chapel.
Is your chapel still standing in Pearl Harbor?
He doesn't know, and we haven't been over there. I'd love to go.
I don't know about that, but I know we were meeting in undesirable places, and so I went down. I did something you're not allowed to do. I went down to see the admiral without appointment, and I was on the bench when he came out of his office, and he said, "Chaplain, did you want to see me?" And I got up and gave him an old Marine salute, and he gave me permission to build a chapel.
How big was the chapel?
What?
How big was your chapel?
It holds 350.
That's big.
And I was having service in a little office where the ships landed, and you could only get 16 in there. The rest of the boys standing out on the dock, and they couldn't hear me, and I couldn't hear them. So I went down, took a chance of seeing the admiral, and he gave me permission to build a chapel. He came out and made a very nice talk opening. And opening of the chapel, we had 350 there. And we could only get maybe 10 or 12 in that tool shed that we was holding service for, and the rest of it out on the dock. and but we had a full every Sunday from that on after we got chapel.
When you were in Pearl Harbor, did you have a different unit designation as chaplain?
What?
Okay. I'm trying to figure out how he was assigned.
Oh, I don't know.
What did you say?
When you were in Pearl Harbor, like what group were you with? If you weren't on a ship, how did they give you a designation about company or battalion or?
I was still in this army that this ship belonged to, but I forget now what it's called. But I was still with their company.
You remember the admiral's name?
What?
Do you remember the admiral's name? The name of the admiral?
Yeah, I see. I used to remember his name. They don't come to me now.
Okay.
He was really good to me. Gave me permission to build that chapel. And he said, "You've got to raise the money to build it." And so I went around different places. But they finally sent me 2 good carpenters, and they knew how to build a chapel. And then they would send him, these 2 carpenters, 12 enlisted men that were waiting for orders every day. And they'd be there a few days, and then they shipped out, and they'd send 12 more boys waiting for orders. And we got the chapel built. And there was a storage place there. I'm sure they had 3,000 blocks, 14-inch square. That was left over from buildings. And I used that for the interior of that chapel. And after they had varnished those, they were beautiful. Made the interior of that chapel look beautiful. And then we had a balcony in the back, and the organ was up there and the choir was up there. But in that tool shed there was holding services. I did well to have 15 or 20, most of them out on the dock. But the very first service in every church, we had 350 in the chapel.
Can you remember?
They sent me a good organist. They had their folding organ, but she was pretty good on it. And then a boy that had led his choir at home in his church became in charge of my choir. So we had pretty good music in this chapel with a good organist and a good choir director. And so I'd like to go out there and see what that chapel, we had it to, I had orders to build it, so if after the war it wasn't needed for a chapel, then it could be switched in some other things. So that's the way I built the chapel, a rectangle shaped building.
Mm-hmm.
So if it wasn't needed for church, then it could be easily switched into a storage place or whatever. I'd like to go out to Pearl Harbor and see what they used my chapel for.
Can you remember any funny things that happened in World War One or two?
What?
Can you remember any funny things that happened in World War One or two?
World War One. Well, it was 350 of us in civilian clothes that went out to Pearl Harbor. Went out, not Pearl Harbor, but this island off of South Carolina.
Paris Island.
Paris Island. And we went out there on a flat-bedded boat in there, standing elbow to elbow. The crowd 350 fish in there, and the guys had been there before. They were running around there and say, hollered at that, "You'll like it, you'll like it."
I gotta say, that's one of the worst places you can go. My brother was there.
Mm.
But the Marine Corps had pretty good food during World War One.
Got a red light flash.
Yeah, it's getting close.
What did you do after World War II?
I need one more year in high school.
Huh.
And I finished that.
After World War One, he asked you about World War Two.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, after World War II, I'd built up to a pretty good church before I enlisted Navy and World War II. When I came out, I didn't have a job. And my daughter had started Missouri Valley College, and for 1 year, I was a flat tire in a place in Kansas City. It was down the slums for a year. But I had to do something to get some salad so my daughter could go to college. And there was a meeting of several Presbyterians from Missouri and Kansas City, and I attended it. And Dr. Smiley had a big church in St. Louis, and I attended that meeting purposely to see if I could get a better job. And Dr. Smiley took me home with him. They had started a new church out of a fast-growing suburb of Afton. And he talked me into going home with it and being pastor out there. And we were meeting in an old tavern, wouldn't seat but 43, and we built a chapel and then a sanctuary that seats 600. And it just grew like wildfire. And I was getting some age on me, and I thought this big church needed a younger pastor. So I took $1,800 a year cut in salary to go back to a little church I'd served before in Iowa. And I never regretted it. I had happy time to finish out my ministry. But unfortunately for the church, they called a guy that wrecked it.
The one in Afton.
His main thing was square dancing. and that church should have been over 2,000 members long ago. And it went down. And they couldn't get rid of him. Finally, they asked Presbytery to move him. And that church don't have it. I had it up to 600 members. It's down to 250 members now. And the time to grow is gone. And so it'll always be a small church. What?
When did you come here?
What did you say?
When did you come here?
To Springfield?
She talked me into marrying her 4.5 years ago. That's just like I'd been in a Presbyterian rest home. I had a cottage in Presbyterian retirement home in Iowa. And I'd been in that cottage 20 years, I guess, and in retirement. But when I had a church, the Woodland Heights Church, for 10 years in Springfield, Fern was in the choir. And she wasn't married, so I wrote and asked her to marry me. And she accepted, and we've been happy married in our 5th year.
Huh.
She sang in my choir when I was pastor there.
But you knew him for quite a while then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was quite young then.
I had bad luck. My wives all died.
I'm not planning on it, so don't look at me.
My wife, the mother of my 3 kids, wonderful lady, died a few months after we retired. Got up one morning and she said, I've got to have a glass of water. And I went to get it for her, and I came back, she was dead. And she was the mother of her 3 kids.
Is it a heart?
Yeah, she had been having heart trouble. But she left me. But Fern and I have been happy together, and we've been investing what money we could invest, and we've gotten up so I'm worth over 200,000, and she's worth 44,000 already.
I hear you have a garden too.
Yeah.
When I was in college, as a broker, taught me how to save. When I was freshman in college, I couldn't do much in college saving, but it sure helped me to build up this estate.
You have a garden out back?
What?
You have a garden out back in your yard? Do you like the garden?
But my estate right now is
He loves to.
208,000 plus.
He asked you about your garden.
Oh, I've always had a good garden. I've planted twice this year and nothing came out either time. I don't know why. I've got one hill of potatoes up out of probably 20 hills.
Huh.
And don't know why it's after. I never had that experience before, but I planted twice and nothing came up either time.
Maybe it's too wet this year.
So we've decided
Cold.
to skip the garden this year.
We've got peaches coming on though. First
Uh,
ones we've had from them.
two heads of lettuce, and
Cabbage.
3 heads of cabbage,
Oh.
and 2 heads of lettuce, and I brought one of them in, and the other is about ready to bring in. And it's all out of 2 plenty. I don't know why I never had that experience in my life.
That sounds like you've always had good fresh food in your whole life.
This
Planted
doesn't
50
get.
strawberry plants and none of them lived. I don't know what happened.
So I asked Fern the other day, should we try planting it again? She said, no, we'll skip the garden this year.
He's happy when he's out there hoeing,
Yeah.
digging in the dirt.
But we have enough income to live comfortably. And
You want to get over here on the camera too?
No, I don't. Thanks, but no thanks.
Just for the record, your first name is Rita?
Fern.
Fern.
F-E-R-N.
Rita is somebody.
she was,
Yeah, I don't know who Rita is.
she quit her job when we got married, but she always thought money was to spend, and so she hadn't saved anything. But
Yeah.
she's saved $44,000 since we've been married.
Can you remember anything else about World War One?
What?
Can you remember anything else about World War One?
Well, I'd been to the Kansas harvest field, and I came back from Wentworth. He took a train to Joplin, and then Joplin we'd take it out to Kansas. And when came back from my harvest field, I enlisted in the Marine Corps and just before I went home. And they let me go home for 3 days, and then they sent me to Pearl Harbor for boot training.
Paris Island, Quantico,
What?
Quantico, Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we've about covered it. Do you think?
I think so.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
What?
Is there anything you'd like to add before we close the tape?
What did they say?
Do you want to add anything before they close the tape?
What did you say?
Do you want to say anything else before they close the tape?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I know where that gun is.
Oh, you do?
I'm an old
Yes.
man, 106 years old.
Oh, we might bring it out and put it on the film if you.
But I
Maybe okay?
preached in 6 churches last year.
6 churches. So you're still
Yeah.
it wasn't last year.
Who added?
Yeah.
When someone needed a supply, why, they'd call me, and I'd go preach for them.
Yeah. Do you still read?
What?
Do you still read books?
What did you say?
You read a book? You read books? Read the Bible?
Yeah. Yeah. I always use the Bible, so my churches all grew.
What books do you read now?
What?
What kind of books do you read now? What kind of books do you read now? Like,
What?
do you read those books?
Yeah. I retired when I was 63. And that's a long time ago. I was in 63. And but I've done a lot of preaching since then. Here, there, and every place.
Yeah, it'd be 43 years ago.
Six times last year.
Didn't you know it was back there?
What?
Didn't you know your gun was back there?
That's my gun.
Open it for him.
Yeah, the limelight. So
In the Marine Corps, when 400 took the rifle range test, I was 5 from the top. Because on the farm,
Oh, it's a shotgun.
that's not a Springfield gun, is it?
It's a shotgun.
boy, I tell you, I could sure knock quail down with this gun.
Well, I don't know why.
One time my wife and I went up to her folks who was on a farm north central Missouri. He always, until we went up at the station, he didn't let anyone hunt on the farm, saved quail crop for me. And I shot 11 times that day, and I had 11 quail. I wasn't supposed to have 10, but we was going towards the car. One got up right at my feet, and I knocked it down for. Thought I wasn't supposed to get another one.
I suppose that's a military issue. Okay.
This-
Sometimes they issue shotgun.
Oh, I don't know.
I bought this gun from a second hand from a Pennsylvania man,
Okay.
and it's a 16 gauge,
16 gauge.
and it's sure a good gun.
Yeah, he'll put it away for you there.
That's good.
But I got so I was a good shot with that gun.
Should I make y'all some coffee?
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
no,
fine.
thank you.
Are there any pictures of him in uniform?
No.
No.
Here you go, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Understand it here from
Well, maybe one when he was in the Navy.
That might be good. We might copy that.
Mhm.
We brought a copy stand too. We could also put it on the video.
Nice to meet you, gentlemen, and
Yeah.
I'm glad to.
I'll have to get in
No.
here.
Okay.
Will I get was?
He threw a lot of pictures.
Will I hear any results of this interview?
Well, I think we can make you a copy.
What?
We'll make you a copy and send it to you to put in your VCR.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
She's looking for a picture of you here.
Like this, John.
Oh. Well, yeah, there's medals and things there.
And that's his brother, Fred and his brother.
Okay, yeah, we might shoot that, copy that picture too.
You boys are from Wichita?
At Jeff City,
Oh, Webb City.
Jefferson City, capital.
Oh, Jefferson City.
Blind and all right, I kind of.
But he might hold it up.
Yeah.
We'll use it.
Have you ever interviewed a guy 106 before?
Only twice. One was in Indiana and one was outside of Carthage.
Well, that one lady, how old was she?
She was 106.
106.
Yeah,
And where was she at?
St. Louis.
In St. Louis. We interviewed a lady, or you interviewed a lady 106.
What time is it?
10 after 11.
You want us to take you out to dinner?
Oh, no,
Oh, no.
we're fine.
We'd be happy to do it.
Could you hold this for us?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Camera.
Can you tell us about that?
When did you get that?
About the last 2 years sometime.
The third this year. At Mount Vernon,
Oh,
in the Veterans Hall.
I bet that's when this picture was taken, maybe, huh?
They had a big shindig,
Well,
in Kansas City.
Yes, it probably was.
and there was only 3 guys in the area that was in World War One.
Yeah.
Another guy and my brother died. That's when we got those.
Was the other guy Charlie Farmer, or was you somebody else?
Oh, there was only the two of them down at Mount Vernon.
That's okay.
It's National Guard.
But it was
Oh,
a couple of years ago that Charlie Farmer, they had
National
a,
Guard.
Were you ever in the National Guard?
Mm-hmm.
You were?
What?
Were you ever in the National Guard?
Were you in the National Guard? Because your medal on the back says National Guard, Missouri.
Yeah, that is after the war.
Oh, after the war?
Yeah,
World War One?
yeah,
Tell us about that.
yeah.
I don't know if that's right.
And then I resigned my church that I'd been there 10 years and went in the Navy in World War II
Well, I don't know.
for 3.5 years.
Someplace.
After World War One, did you serve in the National Guard? In the, let's say, 203rd?
Mm-hmm. And
I don't know if that's
the
Did he just get
my
that?
family went to my hometown,
this in May.
Chicago, Missouri, where I went to high school and lived there.
You can see on the back. It's
The 3.5 years I was in the Navy.
I don't know the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's this dog tag thing.
Oh, okay.
You want to hold this, please? You can see
You
that.
got that, that's Liberty.
Uh-huh. You got that at Liberty Memorial.
Yes, that's right.
They dedicated that a couple of years ago.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if you can scan this or not, can you?
Well, I can take a photograph of it. Yeah.
In the Marine Corps,
Well, whatever.
I'd been shooting a gun since I could hold to my shoulder. And
Most of them have full heads in here.
Oh, yes. Oh, he especially has hair.
Huh.
He's got lots of hair.
Thank you.
Well, I'll set up my copy stand so I can copy your picture.
I'd sure like to have taken that Springfield rifle I had in the Marine Corps, because I could sure hit the target with it.
Did you have a name for your rifle?
What?
Did you have a name for your rifle?
And the 400 shot for records one day, and I was fifth in the top. Be glad to take you boys out for dinner.
We're fine. We had a little something to eat a while ago. I just set up my copy stand so I can shoot that picture real quick.
I forgot to get out a copy of his discharge.
Oh.
You may want that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want that or not.
We can take a picture of it. I've got a little copier in here. I
Oh,
can copy.
okay, good.
You got this one.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good, too.
Stop that one.
Well, I hope you boys will start to save these.
That's what we do. We save all of these interviews we do.
Good.
I have a cabinet that's full.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a TV in my museum where we play some of these for people to see.
Well, when I graduated from high school, up until now, it's got up to $208,000.
Okay?
As I always say, that ain't hay.
That's right.
When you get this written up, will we get a copy of it?
I'll send you one.
Good.
That thing's heavy.
What you doing, honey?
Getting your discharges.
Huh?
Getting your discharges.
When I came home, World War One, in that tailor-made Marine suit, I really felt dressed up.
Do you have color film?
I mean, this one at all.
Because there's like.
Yeah.
You both are young, so starting out to saving a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm sure try.
When you get my age, you'll have plenty of money to live on.
We'll sure try. Sometimes it's pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yeah.
Let it cool off.
Well, whoever was responsible for sending you boys, tell them we highly appreciate you boys coming.
I heard about you on television.
Be happy to take you both out for dinner.
When was that? When we were down at Mount Vernon?
Yeah, there was a piece on Channel 3, Springfield,
Yeah.
and I was staying at Mount Vernon in the hotel,
Oh, you were?
and just caught a little part about two World War II, World War I brothers, and that's all I knew.
Uh-huh.
It took me all this time to track it down. It took 2 weeks for the station to give them a call. And then when we called the Mount Vernon, they said, well, they called the grandson, and then we took a while to find him. So we've been trying for about a month.
Tax papers. It's just
Well-
that's a copy.
Yeah, there's one here, and I haven't found the neighbor.
The first time I took my two boys. Seward was 12, and John was 6, quail hunting. And I really showed off.